If they running their mouth, then they looking for trouble. Ran right up in the knowledge, now they back in the huddle. See, they know we can fight, new content every week. Me and Dr. Clyde, keep on bringing the heat. Now they know that we driven, and they know we ain't quitting. Yoshi and Dr. Winner, keep on bringing the energy. Unity. See, they know we ain't stopping, and they know they got problems, and they ran out of options. If they know got a problem, can't let it go unsolved. Bring back learning, Afrocentric history, we see tomorrow. Karma's karma, I say what I say out here in the water. Till I see I fall off, then I bring y'all up on note. I'm back up on my Clyde winners, 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 Clyde winners. Divine winters, Clyde winters, mind bender, Clyde winters. I'm Richard, ride with ya, master teacher, create masters, Clyde winters. Give respect to the elder, Clyde winters. I somebody out there looking for me. I told you somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me.
We have to live by my heart. We have to live by my heart. I have not done wrong. I have not robbed. I have not stolen. I have not drank. I have not told lies. I have not stolen food. I was not stolen. I have not fornicated with the fornicator. I have not caused anyone to weep. I have not dissembled. I have not transgressed. I have not discussed secrets. I have brought no lawsuits. I have not wronged the population. I have not struck kill. I have not transgressed the law. I have not been hunted. Except when I'm talking about on the tongue. I have not made extolling. I have not bragged. I have not cursed. I have not been violent. I have not confounded truth. I have not been impatient. I have not cursed against.
Dr. Winter's legacy is a testament to the power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of exploration. His impact is felt worldwide, as he shares and enlightens at conferences, symposiums, and collaborative projects. His voice is a beacon in the academic world, challenging, inspiring, and always educating. His journey reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never-ending, and its impact is timeless. Dr. Winters teaches us to challenge the narratives and to learn with an open mind. As he always says, B1 is not a group, it's a lineage. Let his story inspire everybody to pursue knowledge relentlessly and to always seek the truth. Now let us welcome in the grandfather of research, the Trill OG himself, the Honorable Dr. Clyde Winters.
Hey, howdy, everybody. What's going on? Today is another day. Today is Thursday, baby. Do you know what Thursday is? Thursday is that time of the week when we do Black History Gems. Yes. Black History Gems. We do Black History Gems. Today we're going to talk about another aspect of Black history, an aspect of Black history that, white people aren't going to tell you about. It amazes me every day. It amazes me every day that that there's still so many black people in this world that believe that the European loves them, that believes that the European wants to be honest with them, believe the European would not lie to them. It is sad because I'm sorry to tell you this if you have those ideas. I'm sorry to tell you this if you dare to believe those things. I'm sorry to tell you this if you want to believe this, but it's not true. Oh, oh, Europeans do not like you. Europeans do not want to help you. Europeans do not want to tell you your history. Yes, yes, yes. I got a little shave on, and one reason for this, I was a little bit under the weather over the weekend. My kids were all upset, but I'm back again. And although I was, I'll admit I was out of it. Yes, family, I was out of it. You know, uh, I almost thought that I might be saying bye bye to this planet, but well, God didn't call me home yet, and although God didn't call me home, I'm happy to be able to share another day with you, another week with you. Because see, I used to like to always say about my around my mother-in-law back in the day about you could die. She's always say anybody could die at any time, and she's so absolutely right. But I've been lucky, I've been blessed, and I really have to just thank God so much for giving me the ability to come to you every week. He gave me the skills to be able to research our history. And he gave me the desire to want to know the truth, the desire to want to present the truth to the world, the desire to want to share with you. Yes, yes, yes. Want to share with you our history. And it is just so important to want to do this. Hey, Sister Nee says, grand evening, Dr. Clyde. Great to be here tonight. Get out of here. You're not going anywhere for now. Okay, if you say so. But again, in the sense is that sometimes you have to always understand your fragility. My mother-in-law would always say, you always talk about old people could die. She said anybody could die. Anybody could die at any time, and it's true. But we're not going to talk about death. We're going to talk about the beginning. Today I want to talk about the Yamasee War. Yes, when you study the history of Aboriginal black people in this country, they didn't make treaties with us. And they didn't make treaties with us because after a while, in a sense, they began to consider the red Indian as the only Indian in this country. And they started saying that anybody black, no matter the Aboriginal origin or Aboriginal existence, they were still Negroes. And the Negro was considered to be an African. And because the Negro was considered to be an African, over time, in a sense, they began to really stop relating to the Aboriginal black people as, in a sense, a unique people. They stopped relating to the Aboriginal black people as, in a sense, really Americans. They started referring to them as Africans for two reasons. Number one, that we were dark. And number two, many of us, in a sense, have land ownership. You understand what that means? It's just like you are black people from the Caribbean. Many of you black people from the Caribbean had your land stolen from you by the Protestants. Yes, yes, yes. Many of you were originally black Irish, and the black Protestants stole your land, so they want you to think you're African. Because they know, in a sense, that if you really do the research, you're going to find that there's many parts of Britain and Ireland that you have ownership to. You see, and under the United Nations Code, Aboriginal people have a right to their land, their resources. So of course they don't want us to really think about our ancestry. They don't want us to really think about where we came from, who we are, and what we were. You see, because you remember, history situates you. History situates you in what? It situates you in time and in space. Just because you may represent a particular series of experiences today, that's today. That doesn't mean, in a sense, that in an earlier time, in an earlier period, at an earlier place, that things were different, you see. But again, what we're going to, talk a little bit today about the Yamasee Indians. Let's check this out. Let me see. Yes, we're going to talk about the Yamasee War. The Yamasee War. What about this Yamasee War? The Yamasee War was a very interesting time because it was during this Yamasee War that many things took place. There were many wars between the Aboriginal blacks and, in a sense, the colonialists. But the Yamasee War is a good example of how some of these wars took place and how they, the resolutions of these wars. You can go to my Patreon to see the slides. Please join my Patreon, only $5 a month. But this $5 goes a long way. It supports me in terms of buying books, articles, and other things that can help me to be able to make these great presentations with you every day. It even helps me to also pay for programs like Chatbot and others that can help me to create, maybe pictures if I want to present with my slide presentations. You can go to my YouTube channel, and it's where you Clyde Winters videos. And of course, you can order my mini books at Amazon.com. Let the researcher do the research. Yes, yes, yes. Let the researcher do the research. This is something that we should always want to understand and also participate in, because see, by allowing the researcher to do the research, you too can learn and you too can do research, And this is not really a hard thing to do, but what you have to do, you have to want to do the research. You have to want to share the research, and that's why it's about letting the researcher do the research. Let the researcher do the research. Yes, let the researcher do the research. Dr. Clyde Winters, let him do the research. We need more researchers like Dr. Clyde Winters. Yes, yes, yes. Let the researcher do the research. Yes, we don't understand that it takes people who want to do research to be able, in a sense, to tell us our history. Yes, many people have taken my course, The Afrocentric Researcher. You can take it too. All you got to do is join. But if you don't, in a sense, join, understand that it's through your hard work, through your persistence that you can become a researcher. Yes, yes, yes. Let the researcher do the researcher. You know what? I've written some books that can help you to be a researcher. Those books are Pathfinder, Clyde Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentric Studies. Yes, yes, this book is an important book. It'll help you learn all about your history. My other book is Afrocentric Researcher by Dr. Clyde Winters. This book, in a sense, is the most important book that you will find. What makes this book important is that the Afrocentric Researcher provides you with a course, provides you with a course outline that tells you all the things you do to be a great researcher. Yes, get these books, The Afrocentric Researcher, and in a sense, get my book, Pathfinder. These books are the books you need to be successful, the books that will make you a great researcher. Get these books, but let the researcher do the research, but you can be the researcher too. What is FBA? FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is lineal descent from an ancestry, or a pedigree. As a result, we are descendants of the African and Aboriginal blacks who built the United States. Yes, yes, yes. Black equal brilliant. Yes, many of you may not know, but in Old English, black equals brilliance. You didn't know that, did you? And see, we are B1. B1 is acknowledging your Black African ancestry and mod, not heritage. We must be race men and women proud of our culture and African Black ancestry. Many people want to run away from being African, and granted, the vast majority of Black people in the United States, are of Black Aboriginal origin, but our Black Aboriginal ancestors came from Africa. Yes, they came from Africa. So what if it was 10,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago, or yesterday? Doesn't matter. The most important thing you had to remember is that Black equals brilliant. And we're B1. Yes, we're B1. We're Black first. But we're also brilliant. We're B1 Black first. B1 brilliant first. Yes, 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 yes. If you want to find out more about our history as foundational Black Americans in these United States, get my books. We are not just Africans, the Black Native Americans. And also my book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory to 1877. My book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory to 1877, is a very important book because in this book, I talk about the Black Europeans. Yes, yes, yes. The Black Europeans who founded this civilization. Many people get it twisted. Many people say, how the hell do these American Indians be named Mac Hall or Winters? How the hell do they get to be named Winters? More. See, if you get my book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory 1877, I explain to you how many of the earliest slaves in these United States were not, in a sense, from Africa. No, they were not from Africa. They were Black Irish who were enslaved by the British. Yes, yes. A lot of these pretenders over there those aren't the original Irish people in Ireland. Those are people, in a sense, who adopted our lands after the British took it away from us. Get my book, History of Blacks in the Americas from Prehistory 1877. Learn your history, know your history, and hey, you're not going to be fooled. Also, if you want to understand the diverse and interesting history of Black people throughout the world, get my book, The World History of the Black Race. It's a survey book. And in this survey book, I record and I discuss all the Black history, all the Black civilizations that formerly existed. Today, we're going to talk about the Yamasee War. Yes, 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 the Yamasee War. The Yamasee War was one of the earliest wars in colonial America. The Yamasee people lived in towns from South Carolina down into modern-day Florida. Yes, yes. By 1697, they were being pushed out of the northern territories by the European colonists. As these Black Indians were being pushed in a much more smaller area, they just got sick and tired of it, and they decided that, hey, we have to stop this. These people are not our friends. By 1702, Yamasee protested against the abuse by the European traders. Some of the abuses included, enslavement of Yamasees and their allies. There were thefts of hogs, guns, and goods. And because of the fact, in a sense, there were a few militarized or more militarized whites in the area, these Yamasee, they kind of would just protest, but it just became overwhelming, And then as a result, many of these whites began to destroy their houses. They began, in a sense, to encroach on their land and began to take their land to grow various crops, or even, in a sense, just straight out, instead of just pretending, they would just go ahead and take their land and everything else and say they could do that because they were white. And the Yamasee were Black, and they felt that Blacks were inferior. The Yamasee originally lived in coastal Georgia and northern Florida. By the late 1600s, relocated closer to South Carolina to the Spanish conflict and colonial pressure. Allies of the English in Charleston included them enslaved raiders and trading partners. They thought that they could get along with the white men. Yeah. I can get along with the white men. We can get along. No. It wasn't going to be. Fur and Indian, they felt, in the sense that by, trading in furs and Indian or Black slaves, that things would be fine, but it became exploited. As a result, there was cheating. The whites would cheat them. The whites would invent debts, and the whites would just seize local lands and not even pay them or even in a sense, respect them. By the early 1700s, resentment was widespread among Southeastern Indians. Thomas Narney and others cheated the Indian leaders, demanded inflated debts, and enslaved their Indian allies. As they encroached on the Indian land, the colonists destroyed their crops, trespassed on their land, and then killed their livestock or took the livestock for themselves. April 15, 1715, the Yamasee attacked the Pocataligo. Indian agent Thomas Nairn and others were killed. 100 plus English colonists were killed during the Adesto and Combahee River raids. Plantations and settlements were looted and burned by the Yamasee. The Black Yamasee Indians were very, very, very upset. They were upset because of the fact that many of them were enslaved and sold to the Caribbean. The Yamasee feared the same fate. There were pan-tribal grievances, the Cree, the Choctaw, the Catawba, the Appalachee, and others exploited, and they were ready to resist because they said, damn, we're trying to get along with you Europeans. We want to be, we understand there's plenty of land, but if there's plenty of, why don't you get your own land? Why do you have to take our land? But the Europeans said, hell no, your land is my land. So a lot of these Black Indians were very upset. The Cree, Choctaw, Catawba, the Appalachee, The Indian allies were the Creek, the Cherokee, the Catawbas, the Appalachians, the Yuchi, the Shawnee. A traitor is a person who commits treason by betraying their country or is guilty of betraying a trust, a person or a cause. Traitors among the Creeks and Choctaw were mostly killed. One of the things that you guys probably are saying to yourself, Dr. Winters, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I see how these Indians look today. And these Indians today do not look nothing like Black people. You're absolutely correct. The Indians you see today that are popularized as Indians today, they're not the real Indians. The Indians you see today, they used to live in the southwestern part of the country. And many Europeans, in a sense, encouraged them, to help them in their activities, slave raiding. See, they used to get some of these red Indians to help them go and attack some of the Black Indians and, sell them as slaves. But you can't be mad at the red Indians. There were also Indians like some Cree, Choctaw, Tawa. Some of them also, in a sense, were traders, and they also would enslave their own people. They also would hunt down their people and make them slaves. So it was a complicated situation. But it's very funny to me. And it's funny to me when you think about Black history today, yesterday, or even, I don't know, I hope not in the future, but Black people, it's easy for Black people, it seems, to get along with everybody but other Black people. It's easy for Black people to forgive any other race. Any other race can mistreat them. Any other race can abuse them. Any other race can do many terrible things to them. But it appears that, sadly, that we can forgive any race but our own race. April 15, 1715, the Yamasee were invited traders, including Thomas Yari, to Pocataligo, and then when they got there, they killed them. About 90 colonists were killed, marking the start of the uprising. There was a coordinated attack across South Carolina. Plantations were destroyed along the Combahee and the Adesto rivers. Nearly 100 settlers were killed in the early days, and many more were wounded. The war was not an isolated event in this area. It became a regional war involving Yamasee, Lower Creeks, Appalachie, Catawba, Yuchi, Shawnee, Kagari, and others. The Cherokee initially joined, but later allied with the English. This betrayal was a turning point in the war. One of the things we have to understand is that the Cherokee have usually always been a very mixed group. The Cherokee was a Black Indian tribe that also, in a sense, had their co-tribe, which may have been Red Indians. But in addition to being Red Indians, many of the Cherokee married or in a sense cohabitated with many Europeans. As a result, they had many mixed race children. And because they had many mixed race children, many of them, in a sense, usually sided with their white fathers. Yes, sadly, they sided with their white fathers. In 1715, attacks devastated Carolina backcountry. Refugees fled to Charleston. Colonists allied with the Cherokee fought against the Cree and the Yamasee. Again, as I said, the Cherokee were usually kind of what we would call today Uncle Toms. You know, one of my sons say, Pops, what? Say, Pops, we got to get rid of them Uncle Toms. We got to get rid of them Uncle Toms. If we get rid of the Uncle Toms, kill them all first, we can get things better. Yeah, I say, son, you got a lot there, but I don't know about, maybe we should try to find a way to re-educate. Yeah. We have to find a way to re-educate the Uncle Toms. Between 1716 and 1717, battles pushed the Yamasee south into Florida. Survivors took refuge among the Spanish near St. Augustine, what we call St. Augustine, Florida today. By 1717, the Yamasee were defeated, and South Carolina was in ruins. These black Indians would have won the war, but for the Cherokee who switched allegiance to English. Whites sent the English military aid from the North Carolina and Virginia. They began to send irregular troops into North Carolina and other parts of the Yamasee area to defeat, in a sense, the Yamasees. The Cree did not make peace until 1717. The Yamasee and their allies fled to Lower Creeks or Spanish St. Augustine. Southeastern frontier of Carolina was vulnerable to Spanish invasion. The English built forts at Fort Monroe, 1717, and the Palachacolas Fort in 1723. These forts they wanted, in a sense, after the Yamasee War, to be able to protect this part of the South from Spanish encroachment, and also, in a sense, to make sure that they could, regulate and control the Black Indians in those areas. The collapse of the Indian slave trade was one of the consequences. You see, instead of, in a sense, relying on just enslaving many Black Indians, they began to shift to the African slave trade, and they brought over a few Africans, but I think it was less than 200,000. Less than 200,000 Africans came over as slaves, enslaved people, and this is a very low number because 200,000 Black Irish were sold into slavery in North America, and they sent an additional 100,000 Black Irish children into slavery in the 1630s. You see, many people don't understand is that the latter Irish, migration to America, in a sense, came over 100 years after the Black Irish had been uprooted in Ireland by the British and sold as slaves in the Americas. This depopulation caused many Yamasee to resettle in Spanish Florida, and they merged with other Indian groups in that area. This made South Carolina vulnerable, and it was almost destroyed, you see. But at the same time, it forced those people in South Carolina to try to have more black Native American slaves and African slaves to perform the labor necessary in these areas. The Cherokee rose as English allies. The Creek Confederacy grew stronger. The Spanish and French influence expanded in the Southeast. So it was a lot of consequences of the Yamasee War. Consequences, in a sense, that made those Black Indian tribes in this part of the Americas very vulnerable to outside influences and variable to these other things. One of the bloodiest native colonial wars was, in a sense, the Yamasee Wars, comparable to King Philip's War. It exposed the destructive consequences of Indian slave trade and the fragile colonial economies that were associated with this Indian slave trade. For the Black Indians, it was a bold but unsuccessful attempt to resist colonization and exploitation. But at least they tried to fight for themselves and their rights. Yes. These Black Indians tried to fight for their rights, but it was always complicated. Yes. It was always complicated. And what made it so complicated was the fact, in a sense, is that many of these black people who were fighting in these wars, in a sense, they did not see themselves as black people. You had to understand is that this was a concept that was alien to them. Alien. Back in the day, the only people who were considered to be black were the Negroes, and the Negroes were supposed to be people from Africa. And so then therefore, in a sense, although these people were maybe sometimes darker, yes, darker than maybe some of the enslaved Africans, they were still recognized in a sense as, a dissimilar people. But the one good thing, the one good consequence, yes, the greatest consequence from this whole idea of blackness in the Americas is that it forced foundational Black Americans, FBA, it forced foundational Black Americans to have to unify among themselves. You see, because white people didn't care if you were their sons, if you were their daughters. They didn't care if you were their cousins. If you were Black or you had 1 ounce of what they called Black or African blood, then you were considered another. And this isn't one of the things that forced. Yes, foundational Black Americans were forced to accept the fact that they were Black. They're also forced to accept the fact that white people do not like you. And because white people do not like you, they may do anything to hurt you. And this was something, in a sense, that we had to understand. Yes, Karen, you're absolutely correct, Karen. It's an amazing Indian truth. And the amazing Indian truth is that you only know who you are if you do your history. And now, again, that's as I told you, that's why I come here every Thursday. That's why I bring you Black History Gems. I bring you Black History Gems because of the fact that Black History Gems allows you to know who you are. Black History Gem, in a sense, allows you to be, present. Yes. It allows you to have agency, agency in who you are. Because, see, we have to learn to speak up. And if you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do.
If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Vampires, they prey on your fears, so them not stay away. Vampires, they prey on your fears, control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. What I say. Don't let them take control your atmosphere. Distraction away from me. What I say. I am you. Control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. What I say. Don't let them suck your energy. What I say. It's a distraction away from me. What I say. I am you and you are me. What I say. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Nobody but yourself. Don't follow. I said nobody but yourself. Don't follow. Nobody but yourself. Don't follow yourself. Nobody yourself. Nobody but yourself.
Our identity and our culture as Black foundational Americans. Yes. Wars between Black Indians and whites were manufactured to produce Black slaves for whites. The English, the French, and the Dutch provided the Native Americans with guns, rum, and cheap goods to purchase Native American Indian slaves. Between 1670 and 1720, many Black Native Americans were enslaved. The black Native Americans were sold into slavery throughout the 13 colonies, Mississippi Valley, Canada, and the British West Indies. The majority of black Native Americans sold into slavery by whites and Indians. Slave traders were the Choctaw, the Yamasee, and other Carolina tribes. Yes. Many of these tribes like the Mandi, Mandinga, many of these tribes, we lost their names. And their names have been lost to history because of the fact, in a sense, that when the European came, as he conquered these black Indians, he just made them slaves. And so over time, in a sense, their nations disappeared. Over time, in a sense, their history wasn't recorded. Over time, they were even able to deny that Aboriginal blacks even existed in America. They wanted to give our Aboriginal ancestors gifts. And the only problem with the gifts that they gave us was that often these blankets that they gave us carried smallpox. Yes, diseases. They also, in a sense, gave us another gift, rum, fire water. And this rum caused an addiction among us. In a sense, it led to a demand for guns because it incentivized Indian slave trading. Yes, the first slaves sold in America were Indians, black Indians, selling other black Indians to Europeans to work on their cotton, not on their cotton plantations, their tobacco plantations, their rice plantations. Yes. We sold each other over here, just like in Africa, because of the fact is that we failed to understand that we are one. We should be united based upon our identity and our culture as black foundational Americans. Yes. Reparations, baby, reparations. We deserve reparations. We deserve reparations like yesterday, not just today. No, not just today. We deserve our reparations. Give us our money, baby. Cut the check.
Cut the check, black first because it's brilliant. People talk too much. Say less, remain on code, follow the spirit. When the going gets tough, it's time for resilience. Cut the check, black first because it's brilliant. People talk too much. Say less, remain on code, follow the spirit. When the going gets tough, it's time for.
The only thing that can save you is be one. To fight Cage, you must stay black first.